got it?
We got it, guys. We are live right now. New York Giants Rush. What is going on? We are here to break down the 2022 NFL Draft tight ends. Guys, I've been tweeting about this one for a while. Craig, Truth, welcome to the show. You know my opinions on this. The most underrated position in all of football. You get an elite one, you hit a home run, and your team is easily in the next category of eliteness. Joining us tonight, and this is odd because typically it's the other way around. Craig is the guest in his house tonight. I am hosting the house, if you will, and then of course we got the genius, the Mecca, the all in all. When it comes to draft analysis, we got Michael Truth, ladies and gentlemen. And if he couldn't make it tonight, we would not be live because his brain matters, man. Let me tell you that. Was that a warm introduction, guys?
Yeah, that's very good.
All right.
Good. I just sent everybody a tweet that we're live and to get their butts over here.
Good stuff. Craig, you're looking sharp in that button down, man. I know you're not the host right now, but man, you look like
hey,
you kind of look like it.
I got invited to my own show, so I came with a collared shirt so I can impress.
He kind of looks like Jimmy Gimbel a little bit over here.
Yeah. Seeing the hair comb, the not tucked away in the hat.
Yeah.
I can't help being this good looking, guys. I'm sorry.
Hey, we understand. I'm gonna open up the comments. Chris R is in the house. Chris, what is going on, man? Thank you for tuning in. Guys, let's just talk about tight ends real quick because you look at the history of the Giants. We've had some really friggin' good tight ends. There's not that many tight ends in the Hall of Fame if you actually go back and count. But the Giants have had some really good ones along the way. When I think of all the great teams, it's always guys that are right underneath the pinnacle of that category, right? Mark Bavaro. In the 1980s, he played with us for, 6 seasons, I think, 1985 to 1990. Was that it, Truth?
Something like that. Yeah, they went to Philly. Oof.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't went to Philly, and he actually hated Philly. Fun fact, he hated Philadelphia and ended up there. But he just brought this nature that Giants fans love so much, right? Because we're a tough defensive team, and all offense typically doesn't have those characters, but he was that character. He was that toughness,
Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna say anything, Truth?
No, I agree. Mark Bavaro was the best tight end they ever had.
Yep. No doubt about it. Now let's flash forward to 1989 to 2001. Howard Cross, guys, he's a very underrated Giant. He's not mentioned much, and he is the only New York Giant that actually was in both Super Bowl 25 and Super Bowl 35. The only Giants player to bridge that gap. He's largely forgotten about. Good player. Craig, what do you remember about him, man?
Well, Howard Cross was a blocker, just devastating blocker. Yeah. He was hard to move, and then you'd kind of forget about him and he'd leak out into the flat and grab a couple passes. Like, he was a class act on and off the field. Still works with the Giants, of course, doing some on-field, commentating. He's always around the building. Howard Cross is a good guy. Never had the luxury of meeting him, but I remember him as he was like a tree. You know what I mean? Like, it was like trying to move a tree out of the way. He just, he'd plant his feet and you couldn't move the guy. But again, then he'd sneak out in the flat and they'd hit him for a 5, 6, 7, 8 yard game. Just, again, really, really good, solid player. It was fortunate that the Giants had Cross because, again, those are some of the lean years before they got more dynamic tight ends like Shockey and some of those guys.
Well, then we just go right after. Dude, literally, as soon as Howard Cross left the team, 2002 NFL draft comes around, Jeremy Shockey, first pick. Giants fans, I will say this, looking back at his career, he had a little bit of he was a great player. Do not get me wrong. I loved it. In 2002, he had an awesome rookie year. Giants were terrible in 2003, come in 2002. Great team. Or a good team, and he really helped that turnaround a little bit. And for a while there in the mid 2000s, man, he was an elite player consistently for the Giants. Truth, do you think back fondly of the Shockey years? You kind of look back at him because he did have a little bit of an attitude problem. There was a little bit of controversy. it was kind of like the 2000s version of, to some degree, Odell. The way Giants fans feel a little bit mixed, right? They love what he brings. A little controversy.
He was a character, I tell you that. And his first year, he was electric. I mean, he has a few good highlight plays that I bet everybody remembers the play. I think it might have been a Monday Night Football game when he ran over a player on Baltimore Indianapolis.
Yeah, he ran over. Yeah, it was.
Colts.
I think it was either. I think it might have been a preseason game.
Yeah, he got a quick screen and he just ran. He didn't even try to deke him. He just ran him over. Shockey, I always said that he was the best talented tight end we ever had.
No doubt.
Favaro was the best we ever had.
No doubt. And then, guys, I'm going to speed up the storyline here. Let's move on to other tight ends. As 07 comes around, Shockey gets hurt. That should have been the season, right? All right, we lost Barber the year before in the offseason. Then we lose Shockey halfway through the season. We're saying to ourselves, it's over. The season's over. Like, our whole offense is over. But then the crazy thing is, Kevin Boss comes in and was a huge asset to the Giants. And in the Super Bowl, he had the longest offensive play of any player in the game.
That's right.
And he came in and kicked ass. And he could have been on the Giants a little bit longer. They got rid of him. But then they moved on to Beckham. Right? Did I get that right?
I don't think Beckham.
Martellus Bennett.
Yeah.
No, not that. No, before him.
But in
2011, we had a tight end come in that played great for us that one year.
Jake Ballard for Ohio State.
Ballard.
And by the way,
his backup was Travis.
We interviewed Boss and Ballard, and both of them said the same thing. They never wanted to leave the Giants, but, Jerry Reese was Jerry Reese, and they wanted to leave him.
Yeah, Reese wasn't sticking to those guys. And then after that is when we kind of went to the crapshoot of tight end despair. We've never gotten back to that level since. And Ingram, he made a Pro Bowl, but let's face it, Giants fans are sick of him. Okay, 2022 NFL draft. Giants are going to have to probably draft a tight end. They're looking at Evan Ingram as a trading chip, right? Or they're talking about
he's a free agent, I thought.
He's a free agent, yeah. They're going to get rid of him, man. I have no doubt about it. He's the first cap casualty. I think the Giants are probably going to get a mid-round tight end. I don't think they're going to sign anybody. But I think there's some opportunity here in the 2022 draft. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really good players, especially, you're not going to be paying you're not going to pay Evan Ingram to come back with the seasons that he had, the games that he missed, the balls that he dropped. And there are Tuto, what's up, buddy? There are so many, Spartan, so many talented tight ends, from guys that could play multi-positions like H-back and tight end, inline tight ends, split out tight ends. Like, this might be the best tight end draft I've seen in 10 years. I mean, it really is. I'm sure the truth could definitely tell me more about, if it compares to other years. But when you look at the quality of players out there, what I find is there's a lot of good players that are going to be better in the pros than they were in college because they're underutilized on their college team.
That's a great point, Craig. I mean, Spartan and I were talking about this before we were on the air. Like, we're not going to see a first-round tight end go. We won't see that, but we're going to see day 2 and 3. We're going to see a whole bunch of guys go, and we even said that these guys could be better, with a year or two under their belt. And we're going to look back on this as a very good draft for tight ends.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, I get excited by tight ends. I look at the best there are in the game right now. Last several Super Bowl winners, aside from the Rams. We're talking about Kels. We're talking about Gronk. We're talking about Ertz. All these guys are elite tight ends, too fast for tight ends, too slow for the D-backs. And
yeah, good. Let's not forget George Kittle. Let's not forget Waller. There's some really great tight ends.
And Kittle helped the 49ers become a good franchise. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Even the guy, Andrews from Baltimore.
Mark Andrews.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys are coming mid to late rounds. Gronk
was a guy they need.
He was the last pick of the first round the year he was taken. But anyway, guys, look, I am hoping the Giants can find this guy in this draft. I think there is some elite talent. It's very tough to know what tight end will actually transcribe into that kind of a player. But we got some good players to go over. Craig, we're going to start with your guys first. First, probably most important, in my opinion, yours already, guy to cover is Trey McBride out of Colorado State. Talk to me about the dude that led his team in receptions as a tight end in college.
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of impressed that I'm going first as the guest. So I appreciate, you yielding to the, to me. Yes. So here's what I can tell you about McBride. He's a really cool cat for a couple different reasons. All right. So as we know, he played for Colorado. As you just mentioned, he led his team in receptions.
Let's be clear here. Colorado State, not Colorado. That's
correct. I'm sorry. My bad.
They both suck, but there's a big difference.
Colorado State. And I'm actually going to touch on that. So he's 6'4". He's 250. So he's a little bit on the light side for an NFL tight end. He's going to have to put on, 10 to 15 pounds to endure a beating. But he's definitely more of a pass catcher. But however, here's what makes him unique. So he's fast, okay? He's Evan Ingram fast, okay? He runs a 4.65 40, okay? So he flies, all right? He's got great speed. Here's what's super cool about his college career. In his 4 years, he had over 2,000 yards receiving as a tight end. Damn. This cat is dynamic as it comes from the tight end position. He had 9 touchdowns over those 4 years. This past year, he had 1,100 yards and 90 receptions. So he's very similar in athleticism, what Evan Ingram brings to the table, when they drafted him. But he doesn't act like a 250-pound tight end. He mixes it up. He's a good blocker. He gets to the second level. Like, I like the fact that he's really good at kicking out linebackers. Because they do move him around a lot. He's great yards after the catch. As you can see, he's got over 1,100 yards. Here's the key to why this cat could have even been better. His quarterback at Colorado State flat out sucks. I mean, I watched a handful of games, and I was just horrified how bad his quarterback was. If he had played with any type of competent quarterback, he'd had 1,500 yards and 7-8 touchdowns. That's how bad his quarterback was. If you believe in college, I guess, trophies and awards, he was a finalist for the Mackey Award. Yeah. One of my favorite things is college players with experience, because I feel they don't
Mark's in the house.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Hey, Mark. I feel so too tough. I feel when players have multi-years under their belts, they don't get overwhelmed. He's played in 40 college games, right? So he's got the experience. He's got soft hands, and he's more than a willing blocker, and he's strong for his size, 18 reps at the bench, 225. His biggest thing is he's going to need to add a little bit of weight, right? Because, again, he's only 250 pounds, but he's 6'4", so he's got the frame. He's very Zach Ertz-like. And I think anybody on the Giants, even though we hate Ertz for being an Eagle, I think we'd all sign up for Zach Ertz tomorrow.
Yeah, McBride, man, he after the catch, boy, that's where he gets his yardage. He's a phenomenal player. I like him.
That's what I love to hear. Zane, what's going on, man? Jake Ferguson.
Oh, we're coming to that, Zane.
Zane, give us just give us a few minutes on this one. I promise.
I'll say one last thing about McBride. He's the number one tight end in college football. I think Mike would agree with that. If you subscribe to anything Daniel Jeremiah says, he said roughly that no quarter, and Truth just said, no tight end's going to go in the first 50 picks. But what's interesting, between 50 and 96, which is basically the end of the third round, 8 tight ends are going to go. So you can look at McBride going somewhere between, let's say, 5 and 15 in the second round. He's never going to make it to the third. McBride's never going to make it to the third.
No way.
No way. All right. Well, then moving on, guys, here's the thing. Here's my big problem with this dude. This is my big problem with Ohio State tight ends. They are failures. They never work out in the NFL. They always have great wide receivers the past decade that are spreading out the offense so much that it's very easy for them to succeed. I said that. I know Jake Bollard is an Ohio State guy, so I apologize to him. He's a little different. But we are talking about Jeremy Bruckert from Ohio State. Craig, what do you got on the dude?
All right, so let's first start off with, let's consider him a local boy, so we got to root for him. He's from Long Island, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that to me always means a lot. I love rooting for local guys, but you nailed it. The problem with Ruckert is the fact that they spread out their offense. And Tuto, is that you, by the way? You got some abs.
His whole rugby team's watching.
No. That's what I thought, too. I thought that was his picture of him.
Like, man, Tuto. Yeah, he's ripped. And hello to the Italian boys and the rugby boys tuning in. All right, let me stay on track because I know we're on a time constraint. So Ruckert, he's not featured, okay, like a lot of tight ends are because of the Ohio State offense. He is primed to be a great NFL tight end because an NFL team uses athletic tight ends. They will use him in the pros way better than Ohio State did. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Looking out over his features, 19 reps on the bench, so he's pretty strong. What I love about him, he never takes a play off. Like he's blocking one guy, he's blocking two guys. He runs his route. He's constantly mixing it up. He gives you 100% every single play. You can't say that about every tight end if they're not getting the ball. He's involved. He had a total of 615 yards over 4 years and 12 touchdowns. It's not terrible. It's consistent, okay? He's consistently a 250 to 300 yard reception guy. He's got really good hands, and if he does get his hands on the ball, he can give you some yards after the catch. I like the fact that he's really good with contested balls. He can catch a ball with a guy on his back or a guy in his face. He's also fairly fast, Spartan, 4.7 in the 40. But again, same issue as McBride is that McBride is way more dynamic than Ruckert, but he's also 250 pounds. Okay. And at 6'5", 250 and a little bit less dynamic, he's going to get pounded. He's going to have to put on at least 15 pounds because while McBride splits out a lot, and looks for matchups, Ruckert plays in the line a lot. At the end of the line, he's never going to be able to block a defensive end at 250 pounds. So either they're going to have to split him out or beef him up. Last couple things that on him real fast is because he's a Long Island guy, he's got a lot of friends that are Buffalo Bills fans. He recently said at the Combine that the only team in New York is the Buffalo Bills. We should remember that.
Well, good. We got a head coach and a GM from the Bills, so he'll love him.
So, by the way, it could be a good fit. This past year, he had 26 receptions, 309 yards. But I will say, and I said this about McBride and his quarterback, C.J. Stroud sucks, okay? I can't tell you how many times he missed a wide-open Jeremy Ruckert. Now, I watched only 3 games that he played. But Stroud Lance was a way better quarterback than Stroud. He would miss, He would miss Ruckert probably between 3 and 4 times a game with a bad pass. Damn. So if he gets a good quality quarterback, I still think Ruckert is a viable option for the end of the 3rd, early 4th round. He's ranked at the 3rd tight end. I think that's a little high for him. But he's a good player.
Okay. Well, then how about we circle around the other Big Ten school, Wisconsin. Let's talk about my guy, Jake Ferguson. He's not a guy that I just like. Zane is very high on him from New York Giants Rush. Craig?
All right. So Ferguson's pretty cool, pretty interesting guy with the same exact issue as the other 2 guys. He's too light. He's 6'5" and he's 244 pounds. You're not playing tight end unless, again, Jimmy Graham probably gained some weight over time. but he's tall. He needs to put on weight. These guys are all very tall and very thin for tight ends in the NFL. What I think I liked most about, Ferguson is he's very close to McBride, that they use Ferguson a lot at Wisconsin. Over his career in 4 years, 1,600 yards. He produces like McBride, not as dynamic, but he's got 4 years of experience. This past year, 46 receptions, 450 yards. He's the 10th ranked tight end. I think he's a little higher than that. I think he should be around 7 or 8. I really like Ferguson a lot. Like Zane, he showed up in the Senior Bowl. He looked nice. I think he's actually a little underestimated, but let's get into numbers. 15 reps on the bench. He needs to get a little bit stronger. He's got 4.8 speed, but he's got deception on his side, because he has this ability to, kind of disappear a little bit. You know what I mean? He's very good at chipping and releasing, and then and slipping out into the flat. So he's while he's not overly dynamic, he has a knack for getting open. He's got natural ball skills, good release off the line. Believe it or not, for a 4.8 guy, he releases off the ball very quickly, contested catch. I love this one thing about him best. He runs by safeties and corners. And you don't see a lot of tight ends do that. They usually run with them. He has the ability to pick up speed. He actually has the ability to get open downfield because he can run by safeties and corners. He blocks multi guys. He'll chip one guy and get to the second level. I clearly think that he's going to go real early in the 4th round, maybe late 3rd round, but I could see him going in a top 10 in the 4th round. He's actually really athletic. Like I said, the knock on him, I watched him versus Michigan, and he balled versus Michigan. Cracking guys, blocking second level guys, making catches. But when you look at the fact that he's 244 pounds, he's just too light.
We seem to have lost Truth. I don't know what happened to him. We hope to get him back, or something gets plugged in. Probably a little bit of a tech issue, but that's all right. Let's move on to the next guy. We got Kade Otton out of Washington. Supposedly had a pretty good senior year. Tell me about him, Craig.
So, all right. So I got to tell you, I was a little disappointed. I watched him versus Arizona and Utah. I was a little bit disappointed in him, believe it or not. I know he's highly rated. He's ranked like the 4th or 5th. There's Truth.
Got him.
He's ranked like the 4th. You all right there, Truth?
Yeah, I clicked the wrong button. I touched it by mistake.
All right. I'm just starting off on Kaden Otton from Washington. I watched him play versus Arizona and Utah. I was a little bit disappointed. He's got really no burst off the line. He just kind of lumbers, and I was kind of shocked for the 4th or 5th ranked tight end. No burst, where Ferguson comes off the line for the 10th ranked tight end. The burst is noticeable while Ferguson's running by corners and safeties. Otton is not. Okay. I don't think he makes sharp cuts in his breaks. He rounds a lot of his breaks, which for me as a playing, some from slot in my day, sharp, good routes mean a lot to me. What I did like is he catches the ball between the hashes and in traffic. He has the ability, if you throw the ball, if you got a quarterback that can throw the ball through a window, he will catch it. He doesn't care if he's got guys in front of him or behind him or on top of him. He catches the ball between the hashes, 10 to 15 yards, which is a really hard catch with linebackers and safeties. So he's impressive that way. Soft hands, catches the ball in traffic. My biggest issue is, man, he is not strong at all at the point of attack. Defensive ends push him into the backfield. Okay. He is not strong at the point of attack when he has to block. He's just not. He doesn't have the lower body strength, and they just dominate him. He's literally getting pushed back into the play. So sadly, I'm not high on Otton. I love the fact that he can catch, like I said, like in traffic. He's not an overly dynamic runner. I don't really see him with a lot of yak. 6'5", 250, he's again still a little bit light. Decent speed at 4.7. His best year, though, here's where I'm concerned about Otton. His best year, Spartan, was 3 years ago, 2019. He had 344 yards reception and 2 TDs. It's 3 years ago. Like, so I think people are looking at his overall body of work. I think he's a little bit robotic. He doesn't sink his hips when he makes breaks. I clearly see him as a 5th rounder. I know people have him high. I don't see it.
All right. Well, if they don't have him high, what about going back to Big Ten? Our guy at Nebraska, Austin Allen. Tell me about him, Craig.
All right. So here's the cool thing. I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of a secret on how and why I chose Allen. So, and I'm looking for. All right. So during the combine on Giants.com, there's a piece of tape of GM Joe Shane. For you people that don't know what I call him GM Joe. There's a piece of tape of him going, "Oh, I really like this guy. This guy can do everything." And guess what happened? Michael Stewart, do you know what happened?
No, I mean, I saw the combine, but go ahead.
All right, so Shane's at the combine. The tape is on Giants.com. He says, you only see him looking out at the field. You have no idea who you're looking at, right? He says, I really like this guy. This guy can do everything. If you grab the piece of tape and freeze it and blow it up, on the screen behind him is who's on TV. And it's Austin Allen. So I already know that Joe Shane likes Austin Allen. So I chose him to do a little work on him. I watched 2 games, and I want to tell you some pretty cool things about the 13th ranked tight end. One, he's really, 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 really tall. Okay. He's 6'8", 260. Okay. He's a load. Okay. He's really hard to bring down, hard to tackle. Believe it or not, yards after the catch. Guys can't tackle him. He's got a decent speed at 4.8. He moves when he catches the ball, has a knack for getting vertical, slipping out and getting vertical down the hash, runs really good deep routes. So he's got an extensive route tree because he runs drags, he runs outs, he runs flags, posts, he runs seam routes. I really like him. He's tough. Because he's so big, what do you get when you get a big guy? Safeties and linebackers take their shots at him, right? The guy, jumps up, gets back to the huddle every time. But what's impressive, Spartan, is that he readjusts for the ball as a big guy. It's not just like, I can't catch that. He actually can get up and adjust his body for a throw that's either back shoulder or maybe not necessarily, right in front of him.
And you don't see that a lot of times. Like you see players struggle to do that at tight end.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I've seen him. Yeah, he's a good player.
So he excels at delay release because he's so big and strong. He bangs a body at the line of scrimmage, and then they forget about him, and he slips out down the seam. I mean, he's 600. Okay, you ready? He broke the Nebraska all-time record for tight end receptions. This past year, he had 602 yards, broke the Nebraska record for tight ends of all time. I like the kid, man. I really do. I think he's a early 5th round pick. I'm sure that if no one's doing their homework on him, I could see him being available at the top of the 5th. I mean, he moves really well. I just think that, Nebraska sucks. So no one really pays attention to the kid.
Yeah, I think Nebraska was statistically last year the best 3-9 team ever. They actually had a lot of talent and a lot of really good ball players. And the team just went 3-9 and crapped the bed of every game they were in. It was unbelievable.
And Spartan, they lost 5 games by a touchdown or less.
I know, and every single one of them was in heartbreaking fashion. It was just horrible luck. They were a good team. They had some talent on there.
For any reason the New York Giants pass, I don't think they're going to get their hands on McBride. But
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. But I think that Ferguson and Ruckert will both be there. But if they decide to pass, I really think that first whatever their pick is in the 5th round, I really, think that I was surprised. I only looked him up and started watching his tape because of what we got from Joe Shane saying he likes him and he can do everything. And he can. He blocks, he releases, he chips. And I'm going to tell you, if you get a chance, watch his highlights. Now, I watch the full games, but if you watch his highlights, the dude catches the ball downfield and he's good with yak. You know what I mean? And he's tough and he's 6'8", 260. So what's the NFL going to do? They're going to put 10 pounds on him. He's going to be 6'8", 270. The dude will dominate.
Yep.
He's just
you can gain weight very easily in the New York area, man. There's a lot of
I meant muscle, not pizza.
Well, that's all I gained weight there. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's my last guy. He's tough. Okay. And I think the most impressive thing about him was, again, and I'll say it again because he's big, catching traffic. He moves really well. He adjusts for the ball. And when he catches it, he's downfield. He's just, again, he's not going to give you Evan, Ingram, straight line speed, but he really does a little bit of everything well.
You know what? If he doesn't provide me the euphoria that Evan Ingram does, I can. But yeah, Greg, thanks for coming on, man. I know you did a lot of this homework kind of late, so we really do appreciate that. Nope. I'm not dismissing you. You're not going anywhere, but
don't leave.
No, I'm not leaving. I will say this: if I had to go, I didn't really come up with Otton didn't really remind me of anybody. I did think, like I said before, that there's a little bit of Ertz in McBride, and Andrews, but he reminds me. I hate to say it, he reminds me a lot of Jake Ballard. He just does, because he's a big, tall guy with soft hands. And listen, Jake got hurt first, but Jake kicked ass for us in 2011.
He did.
If we got a Jake Ballard on our team, and we'd be ecstatic.
Ballard and
play tight end for us.
So, that were hurt. And
I will tell you that it's that I find that Ruckert and Ferguson are somewhat similar players. Okay, somewhat, not totally, somewhat, but Ruckert is more athletic and he's more like Boss.
Okay, hey, fair enough. Truth, we're on to your guys now, and again, guys, I want you guys to know how good Truth is with this. Since we started doing, one guy gets one set, the other gets another. Truth volunteers to get guys that are very tough to dissect, that are going way late in the draft, because he does serious homework on this. So now, Grant, it's a little bit different.
Put me on a spot now.
Hey, I'm just speaking the truth. But look, let's start off with that guy from Texas A&M, Jalen Weidermeyer. And please tell me if I said his name wrong. But
that's how I pronounce it.
Okay, that's straightforward.
Oh, wait, I think it's more like Weidermeyer. But I'm just laughing for a minute because Duto is calling Craig the Godfather. You see that quote? Of football. He's calling me the Godfather of football defense.
That's because he knows my family's from a Napolitan.
Yeah.
Hey, there we
go. Me too.
Maryland, how's it going?
Well, look again, like Craig. I don't watch highlights. I watch game films, at least 2 to 3 on each player. And Jalen Weidermeyer from Texas A&M, he's a good player, and he'll probably be the second tight end off the board after McBride. But I watched him, and I'll give you good stuff about him first. I'm not going to get into stats, but he's a big boy. He's got good size, and he runs pretty well for his size. He's got below average as a blocker. He didn't really do a lot of blocking for Texas A&M, and he does have good hands. I will give him that. And the games I saw him play, He looked pretty good, but what bothered me is a couple of times he takes plays off. When plays going away from him, you don't see him put the effort in, and that bothered me. Like he didn't stay on a block; he just let the guy go. He hit him and let him go, and I kind of look at those plays and see how long the guy stays on a block. Whether I don't care if you're a lineman or a tight end, I want to see how long you stay on a block, and that kind of bothered me. But regardless, he's still going to go probably the second tight end off the board. That's what I think. I think somewhere mid to late, probably late second. I think.
What does he weigh? Is he thick?
He's about 255. Well, I watched the combine. He looked pretty good in the shorts and shirt. But like all these kids, they got room to grow because they're still young guys. So they're going to fill out when they get with the trainers and they get the nutrition going for them. So I expect to put a little more weight on him to get a little stronger and bigger.
Yeah. They'll definitely do it. It's very. I was watching a video on the Eagles guy, nutrition guy, 10 years ago, and how detailed it is. Like they will, take you, weigh you, and it's like, all right, this should be this weight, and they just stuff a bag full of food for the night. It's like, here's your food. That's they have it down to a science for each guy. So they can put weight on a guy. I get a little concerned though about people losing speed if they get heavier instead of the other way around. Like if they're already heavy and they got to lose weight, I like that, but. I don't know. I get a little concerned. All right. Well, all right. So we can move on to the next guy then. And Truth, you and I were talking before the show, and you told me that this is a guy that you thought was really freaking good. And
yeah,
tell me.
You want to save him for last for me. Save him for last for me, if you don't mind.
You got it. So let's go to a guy that a lot of people have been talking about. Wouldn't be too unheard of to speak about him. And he played for the turnaround team of the last couple of years. Charlie Kolar, Iowa State. Tell me about him.
Right. He's a lunchbox kind of tight end. He's got decent size, 6'6", about almost hitting 260, and he's got the kind of built almost like Otton has, Craig. When I look at him, they're kind of built the same way, but he's a little more dirty nose kind of guy. He'll stick his face in there. Kolar. I kind of like him. He's not flashy. He's not going to burn by guys. But I see this guy. I watch him. He had a great game. I'm trying to remember who he went against. It might have been Iowa. He played against. He had a really good game against them. And what I liked about him, he was catching balls in the seams, catching balls in the flats. He even had a couple of deep passes to him. They did a screen for him. So they're showing that he's diversified, where they can put a nice little package for him and let him do his thing. And like a lot of these guys, he runs the ball really well after the catch. I see him going. I think like a lot of these guys, day 3. I'm looking at him late 4, early 5th round.
Okay. Then let's move on to this is a guy that kind of caught my attention. A similar program to Iowa. Iowa State the last couple of years, and the fact that they turned it around. But the difference is they came out of nowhere. They've never had a good football program. I want to talk about Coastal Carolina's Isaiah Likely. Truth, what do you got on him?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, he might be one of the fastest tight ends. I don't have those numbers in front of me. When I look at his games, they really put a package in a lot of vertical with this kid. Yeah. They like him to go deep. It's like when they pick up football, just go deep and I'll throw the ball to you. I didn't notice any crisp route running on him. So that kind of worries me if he just in college relies on his speed, straight line speed, like someone we know. We saw for the last 4 years. So they got him going in the 3rd round, late 3rd round. I'm not a big fan of this guy.
Okay.
Not a good blocker. Not used that much. More in the he's more out in the slot and on the outside. Doesn't really go inside and block a lot.
Evan Ingram light.
Right, and that's why I said he kind of reminds you of somebody. So that he's out of my 5 guys.
Get me started, Truth. If you tell me he reminded you of Evan Ingram, I'm not happy with this guy.
Well, and whoever's listening could prove me wrong, but I don't see it. But he's my least likely guy that I like out of my 5 I have here. So, but who knows? I could be wrong. He could have a good NFL career.
All right. Well, how do you feel about this next guy then? Out of UCLA, we got Greg, and you pronounce his last name for the love of God because we already argued about this before the show.
Dolchik.
Dolchik. All right.
Hey, Dolchik. Anyway, he's I guess aside from McBride, he's probably got the best hands.
Yep.
Very elusive when he gets the ball in the open field, and he makes guys miss. He's a good player, this guy. He really is. He's not in UCLA's offensive scheme. He doesn't block a lot, but he does block. He puts effort into it. What's that?
He's big too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's almost hitting 250. He's almost the same size as McBride, 6'4". He's just under 250. And again, all these guys have room to put some size on. When I watch him run, I don't know if I'm going to explain this right, but he's elusive. The way he runs his hips, it looks like when he's going one way, but he goes the other way. So I think that's what makes players miss him. If I'm explaining it bad, I'm sorry, but
no.
He just has those elusive hips. When I watch him, he's not a burner by any means, but he does a great job catching the ball and getting yards after the catch. I like this kid. I definitely see him going probably like everybody else, late 4 into the 5th plus rounds. So could he be a Giant? Maybe. I don't know how much Shane likes him, but I wouldn't be upset if they did get him.
Yeah, and here's my feeling too about guys that may not look like they're decent blockers because they're too small. Like you said, he's not as bad as you would think.
Right.
That just happens sometimes. So let me tell you something. Sterling Shepard is. I didn't really care for the Giants to bring him back. I know, regardless of the situation today, Shepard was a really good freaking blocker. I don't think I've ever seen a receiver block as good as he did.
Yeah, for his size, right?
Last guy that blocked like that was Amani Toomer.
Yeah, you're right. Toomer was good at it, and sometimes that happens with tight ends too because if they have a good speed off the line, they can kind of get a hold of the guy for a little bit. He's not gonna drive him to the ground, but he can kind of hold him for a decent amount of time. Ingram can't really quite do that. But anyway, look, we save your favorite guy, or at least guy for last per request. But I want to talk about this dude because I hadn't really heard of him before you brought him up. Truth told me before the show that this guy's the real deal. Truth, I want to hear your opinion on this guy out of Virginia, Jelani Woods.
Well, I think it's in Virginia Tech. Jelani Woods, okay, he's a big boy. He's about 6'7", 255. That's what it said at the combine. But I remember about a month ago, I came across him on YouTube, and I watched highlights, and I said, who is this guy? So I found the game, and I watched him. And he's not afraid to block. He does seams. He does long verticals. He does screens. And then I watched him in the senior week, and he did very well in the senior week. Scouts liked him. Everybody liked him. Then at the combine, he looked really smooth running, and I don't remember seeing him miss a ball. He could have, but I don't remember seeing it. He's got soft hands. He's a big boy, so I mean, he's another guy who could put size on. So I think this guy has a higher ceiling than a lot of the guys that I have on my list.
Okay,
I really do. I think this guy in the right offensive system, I think this kid is going to blossom. So I don't know exactly if that works for the Giants' new offensive system. I think it should, knowing who we have as our OC. So that's who, if the Giants go for a tight end in day 3, this is the guy I want them to get.
Hey.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He's big and he's fast.
Sorry.
But hold up. I do want to say this because my fiance likes to remind me that I'm usually wrong about everything. I was right. He did go to Virginia, not Virginia Tech. But
he went to Virginia. I said Virginia. My bad.
Yeah, no, all good. But Yeah, so I got to do more homework on this guy. He was not a dude that I was expecting to be that high on your list. But again, guys, if truth is saying he's somebody we at least got to take a look at, we definitely have to take a peek. Watch some highlights and of course,
Go check him out. Check him out.
What's that?
I said definitely check him out.
Yeah, and I was just saying, we like interacting with the fans on their draft opinions.
Here we go, Spartan. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, do you want him over all these other guys? Like a couple of the guys that you like, even the kid from like the real athletic kid from
McBride?
After McBride, the kid that goes vertical all the time. He's ranked 2.
Likely? What?
Likely, yeah, likely. Like
I don't want likely. I don't want likely. Okay. He reminds me of Evan Ingram. I don't want him.
Okay.
I mean, they say he's 240, and they're probably fudging it a little bit. It's probably 230 something.
Yeah, too light.
Yeah, I don't listen.
He winds up being a wide receiver in the pros.
Yeah. He's not though. He's only, I think he ran like a 4.7 something or 4 something like that, likely. So, but this kid Woods, I think has a bigger ceiling. I really do.
Okay, fair enough.
He's got a good attitude. I liked it. He worked. He looked like he took it seriously in the combine. He looked really good in my eyes.
Yep, no doubt. Guys, I think that's a wrap on the players that we were covering. Real quick, I made a mistake in the banner. I said that Evan Ingram is a likely trade candidate.
Yeah.
He's not a trade candidate. He is a free agent. I was typing too fast. There's a lot of crap I had to type out.
Yeah.
Fake news is a real issue these days, everybody.
Okay, for the finale, this is what we do for all our guests. Go ahead, Spartan.
Yep. Right now, we are going to roll into it's called a fact and fiction segment, but of course, it is called truth or fiction segment because we got the truth in here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask Craig 3 questions that truth provided. I'm going to ask truth 3 questions that Craig provided. And they're whether it is going to happen or whether it will not happen. So we are going to start with you, Truth, and I'm going to ask some of these questions right here. All right?
Go ahead.
First, the Giants will look for another pass-catching tight end.
That was one of my questions?
It's one of mine.
That's for you, man. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Evan Ingram type player.
So the question is, the Giants are going to look for another tight end who's more of a receiver?
Yes.
In the draft, you're saying?
Yes.
Correct? I'm going to say fiction.
Fiction. Okay. They're going to switch it up and go back to the old school tight end method. You think that was working for them for, 3 decades?
I firmly believe the Giants are going to go and get a veteran tight end in free agency, a very low, mid-tier, not break the bank kind of guy, because they can't have old rookies starting. So okay. I think under their offense system, they're going to have a guy who can block, a guy who can do a little bit of both. I don't see a guy who could just catch and run like an Evan Ingram. I just don't see it anymore. It didn't work for 4 years.
No, it didn't work. And I'll tell you this. Look what they're doing at the defensive end position. Khalil Mack getting traded to the Chargers today. So if you don't have a tight end that can block, you got Joey Bosa on one side, and now you got Khalil Mack on the other side. You better have an old school tight end that can stick his nose in.
Man, I didn't see that. That's it. That's a news flash for me. They traded. It was a trade.
Yeah, he got traded to the Chargers.
Probably around like 5:30. Yeah. And if you can see these teams are getting better at the defensive end position, you better have a tight end that can stick his nose in there and block, because it's not just coming from one side now. It's coming from both sides on some of these teams. So no, that whole Evan Ingram type of player is just not going to work. While they're exciting to watch when it works out. I mean, look, Evan Ingram's probably a nice guy, and I wish him luck, but he missed half his career on the DL, and then he dropped too many important balls, and he just really wasn't much of a blocker. So
And he wasn't that good of a receiving tight end. Like you said, he wasn't. He looked like a receiving tight end. He didn't actually receive. He just looked.
He missed that last part.
Yeah, he missed the part that he was brought here to do. I'm with you. Go back to the old school dude, big guy. I don't have to be the best blocker in the game, but at least stretch the field. Do something. Do something fancy for us. All right, I'm going over to you, Craig. There's a question for you.
All right,
any of these guys making the Pro Bowl? Any of these tight ends will make the Pro Bowl.
Their rookie year.
Yes, just one of them at the least.
So I want to say McBride's got a really good chance of doing it. It's going to depend on what team he goes to. Like there are some tight end heavy teams, right? If he could find himself a team, the kid's really good. He's really good. He's got the experience. He could be Zach Ertz or he could be like one of these, George Kittle type. In fact, wait a minute. If I'm not mistaken, in the combine, they asked Trey McBride who he models his game after. Who do you think he said?
Kittle.
George Kittle. Exactly. Truth. So if you have a kid coming out with his experience and his production, yes, I'm going to say that's truth. There's just a little asterisk on what team he goes to because he could have a dud team draft him that doesn't throw to the tight end, but they don't want someone in their division to have him or something. Crazier things have happened, but I'm going to go on a limb and say truth to truth's question.
Truth to the truth. Okay. All right. Well, then back to truth. Truth. The Giants will draft a tight end only in the 5th round or later.
Okay, so 5th round, we have 2 picks right now. I think it's quite possible that could be where a bulk of these guys are going to be. I'm going to say, only because I want my guy picked, I'm going to say. No, I'll be more open-minded. I'm going to say truth.
Truth for truth.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Craig, will any of these tight ends finish with double-digit touchdowns?
No, false, or no.
If Pitts was here, we'd say yes, but he is not here. So
no, yeah, I don't. A lot of things got to go right for these guys to have that.
Stay healthy.
I think McBride, Ruckert, Ferguson, and Truth's 2 guys, all stand a good chance of having really great years. But double digits, man, that's
tough to do.
That just doesn't happen with today's wide receivers.
Yeah.
I feel you.
That was a trick question.
This one's for you. Giants will not look at a tight end from a smaller school.
Truth. Yep. Now you're saying small school.
Smaller.
Let's clarify this.
Yeah, looking at the top 10 guys we got, I only see one guy that's from a small school.
Coastal Carolina, and you could argue Colorado State.
That's a small school, yeah.
Non-Power 5. I think, Craig, is that what you meant? Non-Power 5.
Yeah, I didn't look at their
attendance,
but I was thinking, like I said, definitely Coastal Carolina, and I was definitely thinking Colorado State. I'm sure they have 20,000, 30,000 students, but
well, put it this way, that's a truth and fiction. If McBride slips and falls to the Giants' lap, yes, they will take him, but he won't be there, so it doesn't matter. So I'll say fiction.
Go ahead, Greg.
I was saying that makes a lot of sense. I'm with truth on that one.
Last one of the night. This is for you, Craig. Will any of these tight ends have 50-plus receptions?
Ooh. 50. Wow, 50's high, man. I'm gonna say no, because even if McBride, does have a great year, I still think it's only worth 35 to 40 receptions his rookie year. 50 McBride's going to have to go to a team that literally puts him in the offense as one of the massive, the main pass catching threats. It literally, there are only like 4 teams that would turn around and make McBride one of their dominant offensive weapons, right? There's only a couple teams that would do that. Could he get 50 receptions if he went to one of those teams? Yeah, but I'm going to say no. Oh, Thompson saw your
yeah, he's calling my crap. Yeah, Mark, unfortunately, I made a mistake early on when I wrote the banner. So, no, he is not going to be traded.
They don't miss a thing, Spartan.
Yeah,
Mark, just so you know, Mark, I tried to do it discreetly, and I texted Spartan on the side and be like, yo, I am like 99.9% sure his contract.
I realized that like minutes in, but trying.
I'm going with no, because even if McBride, does have a crazy year, because he's got the most opportunity, because he's the most dynamic tight end right now. But I'd have to go back and look at stuff like, did Pitts have 50 catches? He probably did.
Well, yeah, he only had 1 touchdown though.
Yeah. I think that I don't even know what team. Like, I guess the question is, what team would draft McBride, let's say, in the mid second round, that wants to light it up? Like, what major throwing team would he go to?
Who the Chargers have at tight end?
Yeah, they got a decent tight end. I'm drawing a blank right now. And Ertz isn't the same guy.
Yeah, wait. They'll have Hunter, right? Isn't that the kid's name?
It is Hunter.
Yeah.
Or at least he's one of their tight ends, yes. Because we wanted Hunter, and then he went to the Chargers.
Now, remember, if they stay healthy, that's only 3 catches a game. Gives you 51.
Yep. I agree. I just think, again, if I look at McBride being the guy that's going to have a lot multi-catch game, what team has a quarterback that throws to the tight end like that? Like you said, like not San Diego, not Green Bay's got a tight end, not Kansas City, not San Francisco. Like, I don't think he goes to a team that actually would throw to the tight end the ball that much. Would I like it to be the Giants? But if the Giants drafted him, they're not going to throw to him 50 plus times.
Yep.
For the whole year, you mean?
Yeah, because there's just games where we're going to pound it. There may be a game or two where, he's dinged up or something. Like I could see him with 40 catches, for 500 yards. But I think 50 is just a little tough for a rookie, unless, again, you're Pitts.
But you got to keep, yeah. All right. Hey, that's good. I can live with that.
Trust me, if he gets 50 catches, whoever has him's pretty damn happy. What's up, Adam? Checking in. You're just getting here now, man. You're late.
It's all right, though. Adam can check us out on YouTube in the show post. Guys, that brings us to the hour. We want to thank everybody that was out here tonight. We had an absolute blast. We're breaking down a lot of good players and a lot of guys that could be under the radar. I mean, look, this is tight end. We go with who we think is best, right? But you look back at the best tight ends of recent years, and a lot of them were taken in the mid-rounds because they were unexpected gems.
Spartan, as I told you, Daniel Jeremiah said between 50 and 96, which is the end of the third, right? Ingram had 50 catches his rookie year. I don't even know if he was on the field that much, Mark. He was hurt all the time. When's the next one, Truth? When's the next?
2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we're going to be live. John
2 weeks
back from the injury. And he's going to be live with us talking about offensive linemen. I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas, and I'll be taking the show live from
Wow. Look at you going mobile.
That's right. I'm going to wear a Giants jersey around the airport that Sunday night and see what happens.
And then you'll
see what happens to Bard Mike as he takes on the Dallas fan base.
I have some quick housekeeping stuff just to remind everybody a couple of things. Oh, the old fart says tight end in the 6.
Jeff with the heat.
Yep, with the heat. All right, housekeeping stuff. For the draft, which is coming up shortly, we will be doing a draft show, and probably each night we will have rotating guys in. So we'll be on all the time. But whoever your favorite Rush, personality is, tweet them up, tell them you want to be on the show. Each one of my guys is going to pick 5 guys to be on the show. Everybody's going to get 3 or 4 minutes on the show live. So we're going to rotate in basically roughly 20 to 25 guests. So we have that coming up. Draft show, Rush draft show in 2 weeks. John should be recovered from, he caught a piece of shrapnel in the eye. So he's having some eye surgery. So we hope prayers are with John.
Yeah.
Don't forget to go to nygiantsrush.com and check out all the content and the YouTube channel. Every interview from any former Giant, it's probably up there. I mean, we've got from Carl Banks to David Deal to Dominic Hickson to Chase Blackburn, Kawika Mitchell. Like, we've got great interviews up there. 64 catches for 70. You know what, Mark? And it was all downhill from there, by the way. He never duplicated that year. Thanks for all your comments on your channel. Truly appreciate it. Of course, Tuto, that's what we're here for, bro. Rock on. Go get some sleep, Tuto. It's really early there in Italy.
Everybody get some sleep tonight, guys. Let's go freaking Giants. I want to tighten in this draft. Good night, everybody.
Baby.
Yeah, guys.
Peace out, everybody.